The higher power says I have to find a pig lover quickly. Otherwise all the pigs in my family will die. I searched the whole school. I had no choice but to confess my love for the rich schoolboy. The rich white girl who once stole my boyfriend mocked me. How can a poor pig farmer be worthy? The schoolgrass slowly raised his eyes. Her family has 80 million pigs. Early Saturday morning. My father's wailing wailed through the phone. Cold in A. It's bad. The family pig is dying. What? I sat up with a jolt. No sleep. My father, with a snotty nose and a tear in his eye, cried that the pigs at the farm were not eating, and were losing fat, and looking more and more wilted. I am also anxious. After all, my position as a second-generation rich man depends on the 80 million pigs at home. What did the doctor say? Can they cure it? Can cure, is the old man stammers. The doctor said, as long as you hurry to find a pig's object will be fine. I'm not sure. This is a doctor or a liar? I rolled my eyes. Snapped back to bed. See, I do not care about him. The old man's tone is a little down. This pig cannot eat, father cannot eat. Father pants belt are loosed eyes. My heart is soft. Mom left early. I'll rely on the old man alone to bring me up. Their own again bitter also never suffered me. I know. I can't find it. Old dad instantly back to blood. Across the phone can hear him patting his thighs voice. Or daughter love father. This month's living expenses doubled. Buy 2 new bags. Do not lose face. Hanging up the phone. I looked at the $2 million just arrived in the account. Turned his head to the school's foundation for the poor transferred 180. Pops started from scratch. I know it's not easy to make money after the university, but also uphold the style of low-key people. Money is just that. Or should be spent on the knife edge. However, to find a partner, it seems that we do need to support the facade. I scratched my head. Pouting from the wall of the urea bag pulled out a few platinum bags. Which is still a bar mitzvah when the old man to buy. Himalayan, or alligator. I compared them on my body. Forget it. Hermes was still old-fashioned. I put it back and pulled out a limited edition small fragrance. I have brought these few. Just use them. Turning my head to see my roommate staring at me in disbelief. I smiled awkwardly. You a wholesale. That morning, a new post appeared on the school's BBS. Poster, CL:A. Section, 100 Years of Happiness. The boyfriend. To be a pig. Other conditions are not limited. In less than 10 minutes. The post was topped the top 10 hot posts. The bottom of the comments exploded pot. This is a rich woman. To be happy? The rich woman came late. The pig should have graduated last year. But if the heavy gold is heavy enough, I can stuff it back to be reborn. There's a senior in the dormitory who flunked 7 classes in his major. He says the kid can take your name. Do you mind if we have a grandparent-grandson relationship? I am a pig. This year 71. In the 8th house as a housekeeper. Last year. My partner just died. Montclair outlet store. The message was instantly topped with a hot comment. And I wiped my face speechless lie. I'm not sure what I'm talking about. Montclair outlet. I decided to go out and take a walk. On the confession wall in front of the cafeteria. Notes of all colors overflowed with the sour smell of love. I looked at it for a long time with my cheeks puffed out. And my heart sank. There are so many people with dates. Why can't there be more of me? Yo, isn't that A? The barbed female voice rang out. You're the one who's at the top of the list. Right? Posting for a boyfriend. But also a pig. You're really funny. You're so funny. I turned around to see Yanov, the famous rich white girl in the courtyard. With her chin up in the air. Standing next to her boyfriend Keegan I. Who is also my ex-boyfriend. Keegan I. My ex-boyfriend. Keegan I is the president of the student union of my college. And he is a bit of a melancholic beauty. And is sought after as the god of the college. Soon after I started my freshman year, I received special attention from him. Good morning and good night. Add clothes and send umbrellas. Having been raised by a brown ad, I had never seen this before and quickly fell for it. But within 2 days, Kijunai approached me with a sullen look on his face. Is your father a pig farmer? I looked at the student profile sheet in his hand. Name Jad. Education high school. Occupation pig farming. Nothing wrong with that. I nodded my head in a hum. Kijunai looks agitated and interrupts me eagerly. So who was the guy who drove you here in a Maybach at the beginning of the school year? I scratched my head and carefully recalled. Oh, that's Uncle Zhao. On the day of the opening of school, my father was in Australia to talk about business. So he let the driver Lao Zhao send me to school. I was about to ask what was wrong, when Kijunai said nothing and walked away with a grim face. After another half a month, he broke up with the Inav by his side. Her family is a local real estate developer, and she usually has a lot of big-name brand clothes and handbags. So she is very high profile. I don't know what she sees in Kijunai. I agreed to break up with Kijunai because I don't want to pick up men from the garbage. But for some reason, Inav kept targeting me. Seeing me ignoring her, Inav shouted in disdain. Still pretending to be a rich woman. Who does not know that you raise pigs? No money but also pretend to be a big money. I don't think you need to find any pig. And you can't fall in love with a stupid pig. I snorted and looked at Kijunai sincerely. She seemed to be talking about you. Stupid ex-boyfriend. Kijunai's face turned ugly. Inav's little face went white. Biting her lip and glaring at me. What a poor man's mouth. I'd like to see what you can find. I winked and spread my hands. It's better than yours anyway. I've already given my word. But I don't have any idea in my heart. Where should I go to find this pig's golden son-in-law? I rested my chin sadly and clicked on my post again without much hope. People seemed to take this as a fishing post and were shaking their wits below. In the midst of the pile of immodest replies, my attention was caught by a simple line. Renato. Biochemistry 20. Single. Pig. This name seems to have been seen somewhere. I did a Baidu search. No wonder it looked familiar. Renato is the only son of Qinwei. Qinwei started out as a biofeed company, and is now the leading biotech company in China. Always on the Who Run Top 50 list of giants. A quick search shows that Renato is 1 year older than me. And he took a break from his studies to start his own business in his sophomore year. A year later, after the company finished its Series C round, he returned to campus and is currently studying in his senior year of college. Just like me. He is currently a senior like me. He is rich, handsome and single. Most importantly, he is a pig. Who could be more perfect than him? I slapped my thighs in excitement, and decided it was him. That night, I slept soundly with expectations. In my dream, I was holding Renato's hand and walking with my head held high in my family's million-square-foot farm, flanked on either side by pig pens that you couldn't see the end of. The pigs wagged their tails one by one and grunted pleasingly at us. I waved my hand with a red face. Look, these will be our pigs from now on. Renato's face is blurred in the light. Only his thin lips are visible. Grumble, grumble, grumble. The next day I got up early. I picked myself up, put my little incense on my back, and squatted down below the second floor of the church with high spirits. When the bell rang for the end of class, then the crowd came out. I got up in a hurry and pulled a sunny boy. Hello, classmate. May I ask if Renato is in your class? The boy was about to speak, when a voice cut in. Cole Ine. What are you doing in our department? I saw Yanov walking towards me with her high heels, twisting and turning. Her eyes fell on my bag and she sneered. I am kindly reminding you. Don't buy a limited edition if you want to buy a copycat. It's a shame to pretend you don't look like one. I have business today. I don't want to nag her, but she won't let me go. What's this? I didn't stop her and watched as she snatched the pink envelope out of my hand and read the words inside out loud. Hello, Renato. My name is Colin A. Can we make friends? Please add WeChat CLL 123. Ianov covered his mouth and burst out laughing. Colin A, you really toad want to eats one meat. Renato, you dare to chase. This statement. The million people have surrounded. Openly and secretly measure me. Seeing the crowd grow. Ianov intentionally raised his voice. Do you not know who Renato is? People have been chasing him from inside the school to outside. And no one has ever succeeded. I asked bluntly. You've chased him too? Ianov seemed to be poked and prodded and became angry. What do you care? Anyway. You're a stinking pig farmer. Do you deserve him? I straight in my back. My family raises pigs. His family does feed. How not worthy. The crowd erupted. Some even cheered. Ianov laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. If I were Renato, I'd hang myself rather than look at you. I'd hang myself if I were Renato. A cold voice rang out. And Ianov's eyes wide and as if his throat had been pinched. The crowd of onlookers parted. And an upright figure walked slowly over with long legs. His eyebrows were cold. His posture was reserved. And his height of 1.9 meters was oppressive. Is this Renato? I subconsciously gulped. It's my kind of thing. Only to see him carelessly sweep over me. Then coldly lift his chin towards Ianov. Hang one for me. Ianov's face suddenly turned red. In the midst of the laughter. She walked away with her waist twisted in shame and annoyance. The crowd slowly dispersed. Leaving only Renato and me. God help me. I held my cell phone and happily went up to him. Hello, handsome. My name is Colin A. Let's add a WeChat when we first meet. Renato's eyes instantly sharpened. And a hint of annoyance flashed across his face. What's going on here? I opened my eyes innocently. Renato patiently closed his eyes. And chilling words drifted out from his beautifully shaped thin lips. No plus fool. Shocking explosion. Pig girl boldly chasing love feed prince. Can pig feed CP come true? Vote. Yes, 3 votes. No, 999. I swiped the BBS with a sad face. People are eating melon to fast. A number of people who voted no is still rising and I looked at the pitiful 3 votes. Alas. It's hard to have a relationship that isn't blessed. Next door. A couple is brushing the video gaga straight music. This relationship blogger can be too incisive. I was so energized that I went behind them, and looked at them for a long time. And then excitedly slapped my thighs. People still need to learn more. I rubbed my hands obscenely. Little fellow. I still can't pin you down now. This time I squatted for 2 hours and stopped Renato under the dormitory building. Handsome, we meet again. I waved my hand and smiled fawningly. Renato lifted up his eyelids. Glanced at me in disgust. And was about to leave with his long legs. Hey, what's going on? The boys with him grabbed him by the shoulders and scowled. Isn't this the sister of the pig farmer from last time? I recognized him as the sunny boy from the last school building. And he was the one who made the most noise in the crowd. Hearing the word sister. Renato frowned imperceptibly and said faintly at him. Your mom gave birth to a second child? The sunshine boy froze. Quickly glanced at him. Smilingly, look at me. Called smooth mouth. I'm sorry, all in a classmate. All right. I sincerely exclaimed. Handsome boy, you have a good memory. See once and remember me. Without waiting for him to speak. I heard Renato humming in a nonchalant manner. You call everyone handsome. Don't you have a name? What's wrong with this man? He dislikes the sky and the earth and the air? I'm a bit upset. It was the sunny boy who got me out of trouble. Introducing himself as Daria. Renato's roommate. Daria was very smart. He said he had to go first and winked at me quietly. He was so nice. I saw him off gratefully. But then I turned around and realized that Renato's face was as dark as the bottom of a pot. Oops. I almost forgot the main man. I took small steps to him and tilted my face up in a pleasing manner. Renato. I'm in a tight spot lately. Can you lend me some money? Without debt. There is no bond. That's what the blogger taught me yesterday. And I've learned it the hard way. No debts? I'll lend you some money of my own accord. Perhaps my gaze was too warm. Renato's eyebrows jumped, and he stared at me with a smile on his face. You? Are you short on cash? Yes, yes. Without changing my face, I greeted him earnestly. I didn't sell my family's pig this month, so I don't have any money to pay for my living expenses. The opposite side of the man snorted a laugh. Nodded did not go far back. He is good. Find him to borrow. The big picture is important. All for the pig. I repeatedly recited in my mind. Suddenly a startled male voice rang out. A. You're actually really chasing Renato. Looking at the voice, it was Keegan I. He had an incredulous look on his face and raised his hand to grab me. A long arm quickly stopped my shoulder. I stumbled into a solid and warm embrace. Searing he trapped around me instantly. I subconsciously reached out to brace myself. And the person above my head gave a muffled grunt. Don't touch. I look up, and Renato's ears are suspiciously pink. That exasperating lithe and lips were tightly pursed. And the small fan-like eyelashes hung down, covering the thick black eyes. It was only from such a close distance that I realized that there was a small mole on the tip of his nose. I really didn't expect you to be this kind of girl. Keegan I saw this and became more and more pained. This kind? Which kind? I was confused. I have heard it all. You asked him for money. Keegan I's eyes shot out a cynical light. How did you become so materialistic? What a sin. Is this an ex-boyfriend? He's a stumbling block on my way to happiness. I rolled my eyes and output. Not installed a GPS. You are really confused about their own position. I'm not looking for him to ask. Did not look for you to ask? Did you give me a red packet for New Year's? You're here to be my father. If you're so fond of being a father, I'll get Ian Nov to give you one. Theft. Renato laughed out softly, causing the mole on the tip of his nose to quiver. As if greatly insulted, Keegan I glared at him indignantly. Vanity. Do you think a rich man like that will look at you? It's just for fun. Oh, Renato spoke slowly, without lifting his eyes. I see you're having fun with Ianov. Keegan I's face turned white. Oh yes. And a word of advice. Renato said as his long arms tight and he pressed me into his arms in a demonstrative manner, raising an eyebrow at him. Find Augs don't play well. Work out and try to get played with for 2 more years. Breaking big defenses. I watched as Keegan I cracked and I couldn't hold back. Turned my head and buried it into the chest behind me. Laughing with a twitch. The breath in my head seemed to catch for a split second. And the arm around me suddenly relaxes and lifts me away by the back of my collar. The man was gone. Up Renato was back to his cold, unfeeling self. Why is this guile like an NPC? Is Keegan I some kind of trigger condition? Seeing that he was turning to leave, I went after him and tugged on his sleeve. Pitiful. Living expenses. His pupils shrunk slightly wretchedly avoiding my eyes. Let go. I blinked clear innocent puppy dog eyes. Shook his cuff. Please. After a moment of stalemate, he loosened his frown in resignation, and took a deep breath. How much do you want? How much do you want? This person is still strange good. I happily held out 2 fingers. Renato took out his cell phone and swept it up to me. His long fingers pressed a pass. Half a minute later, I looked at the VX prompting $200. $0 in change. In my wind in a mess. I just want to borrow a 2000. The deficit was there. And below that was the hold. I tilted my head and thought about what Bishop Bo had said. The first step to getting a guy's attention. Make him feel like you understand him. So I confidently clicked on Renato's avatar and copied and pasted. You're special. You're different from all the guys I know. You give me a detached, lonely feeling. You give me a feeling of alienation. Of loneliness. I've heard a lot of people say they're lonely. But I think your loneliness is the real loneliness. The other side was silent for a long time and didn't say anything. I'll take it up again. You want a little excitement. A little danger. Even a little torture. You want incomprehensible indulgence. You want a fire that burns your soul. You want a love that consumes you. The gray silhouette avatar says it's typing. A long time later. 3 cold words were thrown over. I don't want to. After that day, I began a textbook campaign of pervasive love talk. Wake up in the morning. Morning. You know what wind is blowing today? Oh, is thinking about you want to go crazy. Physical test after running 800 meters. Today the teacher said my body is very good. Can carry the wind. Can carry the meter. But cannot carry I want you. After taking a bath at night, I just took a bath and thought of you again. The bath water is hot and cold. And you are also hot and cold. You are also hot and cold. Renato, as always, maintains a cold persona. To my earthy love words all do not return. The odds of a pig feed CP on BBS have reached 6,001. But I think I have a chance. Because he didn't pull the plug on me or even tell me to shut up. On this day I casually posted my favorite chorizo. Because that line about liking you made no reason. The opposite side suddenly replied in seconds. I jumped up from the bed. I don't know. Otherwise? My father taught me to seize every opportunity in business. Renato finally agreed to have dinner with me. At 600 p.m. my car pulled up to the boys' dormitory. The Bentley Continental shines elegantly under the setting sun, and passers-by take pictures of it from time to time. Ceremony. This is the 3rd lesson I learned. Renato was dressed in casual clothes. Diffuse and noble. When he saw me, his dark eyes flashed with a flash of amazement. I pulled the long hem of the dress skirt in my hand, revealing the $70 for 2 pairs of back shoes underneath. Grinning. This thing. Too much trouble. Renato drawled. Let's go. Dinner is set in the city's most luxurious 5-star hotel. The waiter respectfully handed over the menu. Renato did not take. Face like a smile. Living expenses are gone. Treat me to eat this? I laughed dryly and sheepishly. You can't be poor and have a poor stomach. He hooked the corner of his lips. Skillfully rushed to the waiter to order. The menu please fee chef to set. Do not seafood. The waiter hesitated and whispered. Today there is your favorite black truffle baked Poland with glutinous rice. Do you want to try? No. Renato's eyes flashed a strange light. Staring at me slowly and methodically spoke. Someone's seafood allergy. How does he know I am allergic to seafood? I asked. Confused. What do you think? He suddenly leaned over. The handsome face of the human and God's indignation instantly loomed close. I was a little dizzy. Less than a fist's distance. You can clearly see my reflection in his eyes. I didn't move a muscle. As if I were a log. He let out a light laugh. The small mole on the tip of his nose twitching slightly as he lazily leaned backward back into the back of his chair. Fool. Breathe. No wonder I'm dizzy. Fresh air refills my chest and I tentatively approach. We've met before? The smile on Renato's face slowly fades as the words leave his lips. You really don't remember? A pout tints Renato's brow and he speaks in a single word. You said you liked Chloe's A. It doesn't make sense to say you like me. What's wrong with that? I secretly looked down and flipped through my cell phone. The tutorial on sweet love words. Not a single word was copied incorrectly. Seeing that I was absent-minded, young Master Kin's anger instantly flared up and he gritted his teeth. Cole in A. You are so forgetful. Are you chasing after any handsome guy? I was confused. This is how the words say. Make me like a pants on the run big slag man. He finally couldn't stand it anymore. Brushed up. Handsome face cold quenching ice. This meal I do not have to eat. You eat your own pleasant. I scrambled to get up and chased the steps. Almost tripped over the hem of my skirt. Alas. I told you that this thing is in the way. I stomped my foot in hatred. After flipping burritos all night, I went to get breakfast the next day with a pair of panda eyes. Sitting in the cafeteria, I hesitantly clicked on that familiar avatar. Is it there? A bright red exclamation point answered me silently. What's wrong with this? I deflated in aggravation and began to search. What should I do if I'm blackballed by the person I'm pursuing? Not long after, a big smart at the bottom. The first thing you need to do is to transfer 1 cent to your account to leave a message. And $10 to nag you for a day. 20 plus kneeling on the keyboard for 3 days. If you don't say that the ancient and modern netizens have a lot of strange ideas, then you're not going to be able to get away with it. I don't eat the buns. Hand speed as fast as flying. Instantly code a good 800-word essay. I sent it over in 80 sentences, costing a total of 80 cents. When I was worried, a person sat down on the opposite side of the table. It is actually Daria. Sunny boy with a big grin on his face. Don't transfer money to Renato again. From the dormitory to the cafeteria, the arrival reminder rang all the way. I apologized awkwardly, but my eyes couldn't help drifting around. Don't look for it. When I saw you at the cafeteria entrance, you left with a black face. Daria did not see the difference. Took a bun from my bowl. Oh, is a big mouthful. Well, the meat bun is so good. Cannot be delicious. This bun filling is our Mouli Group Hovey ecological black pork. Serious eating hazelnut growth. And the buns are not good. If it's not for the fact that my dad gave me a crushing fracture price in order for me to eat this bite. How can the university cafeteria afford it? Daria's expectant gaze locked onto the only remaining bun. I closed my eyes in pain and pushed the bowl over. It's $5 a piece. You can eat my bun for nothing. Daria was about to speak when a giggle came from next door. Poor students are just not good enough. It's just a broken bun. We turned around, confused. And who did we think it was? It turned out to be Ian Nov and her gang of lapdogs. One of the curly-haired women picked up the bun in my bowl with her fingers crossed. She took a bite and spat it back into the bowl in disgust. Yuck. You've never seen the world. And you think rotten pork is a treasure. What? You can scold me. But not my pig. Fire came out of my eyes and I pushed the table and stood up. Pigs work so hard and are full of treasures. Who are you to look down on pigs? Ian Nov's false eyelashes flipped to the sky and snorted. Worthy of being a pig breeder. Really deep feelings with pigs. Ah. A few girls laughed and laughed. Laughing. I rolled my eyes like her. If you have the guts, don't eat my family's pork for the rest of your lives. Your family's pork? The opposite side laughed louder. You wrong. I remember our cafeteria contractor is your family. Right. Ianov cocked up his nails and ruffled his hair. My uncle's. I will tell him not to buy the meat of the family surnenshoe. And I don't know if I will become stupid if I eat it. I can't believe it's her family's company. That's not my fault. The corner of my mouth floated into a mysterious round smile. Then it's a deal. My family's pigs will never be sold to your family again. Seeing this bunch of idiots leave in a high and mighty manner, I turned my head to the window and rounded up all the big meat buns. Kiwei was dumbfounded. You're pissed off? Why did you buy so many? I pulled 2 into my bowl and pushed the rest in front of him with a smile. Eat up. You won't have any from tomorrow. By the way, remember to save to for Renato. Post by Wo Iba Usbai. Section. Title. Recently. There is a pig shortage in the cafeteria? Have you noticed that the cafeteria has been out of pork for a week? My favorite pork buns are also gone. 1L. IZ is going to eat. Pork buns skin thin meat. Meat tender. Gravy delicious. Call for the return of meat buns. 2L. Finally someone found it well. Braised pork fried shredded meat sauce ribs meat rounds are gone. Even the minced meat eggplant have become vegetarian fried eggplant. 3L. What is the situation in the cafeteria I go? The flowers of the motherland cannot even eat pork. Messing with anyone, do not mess with hungry college students. The principal mailbox was one to eat meat complaints routed fried. The announcement of the logistics department looks burnt out. Due to problems with the pork supplier, the cafeteria will not be able to supply pork in the near future. The logistics department is actively negotiating and communicating. Please be patient. I was scrolling through the post while stuffing buns into my mouth. This is the home cook made to send me. Ask is the 2 days himself was craved. I looked around guiltily at my classmates who had food on their faces. Sorry. This wave of AOE open wide. Cole and A students. Where did you buy the meat buns? A gnashing voice came from behind me. And I shivered in fear. I only saw Kiwei staring at my bowl like a vicious wolf. And next to him stood Renato, who I hadn't seen for a long time. He averted his gaze with a slightly wrinkled brow. But his throat swallowed imperceptibly. I immediately ejected myself from my chair and fawned, holding my bowl up to it. Fresh black pork dumplings. Specially prepared for you. After many days, I finally sat at the same table with Renato again. Kiwei has buried his head to eat, the personnel do not know. And Renato posture reserved. Hard to eat the bun out of the Michelin elegance. If you eat my bun, you're my man. I swallowed my saliva, and was about to make a conversation when a nasty voice came in from nowhere. I said it is impossible that there is no pork. This is not still buns. It's a good turnout today. And besides the boys, Keijin eyes here too. It was the curly-haired woman from the other day who spoke. And she turned her head and nudged Ianov, asked her uncle to save us a portion. I don't spoil them. Winking. That's not going to happen. These are buns made from my family's pork. Not from the cafeteria. Keijin frowns and says something. Ianov glares at me with an ugly, vague look on his face. Don't mind her. My uncle says he has found a new supplier and soon there will be pork to eat. As he was saying, a fat-headed suit man lit his face and followed a middle-aged man. Coming through the cafeteria. Principal Zhu. It's not that our company doesn't supply pork according to the contract. It's really that the upstream is out of stock. The vice principal Zhu is in charge of logistics. His father donated to the school Met. When he heard about pork, a pair of ears around him pricked up. Keijin's face flashed with doubt. You wrong. Isn't this your uncle? Ianov pursed his lips and his face became ugly. He only heard Principal Zhu's serious tone. Now that the students have raised a ruckus, the principal is also very dissatisfied. If your company fails to supply pork on time again, then we can only cancel the contract. The man in the suit was sweating anxiously. No, 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 Principal Zhu. You give us a little more time. We'll talk to Muley Group again. The crowd's little gossip motor is on full speed. Muley Group. The one with 80 million pigs a year? Yes, that's the first pig stock. The listed leader. I heard that all the pigs in the city are owned by his family. If this supplier offends them, he won't be around much longer. It's not like they're going to be around much longer. But they're making it so we can't eat meat. The curly-haired woman nudged Ianov suspiciously. Didn't you say your uncle had found a new supplier? Ianov forced a smile on his face. Didn't you hear my uncle say? He'll talk to that Muley Group and get the meat right away. Giggling. I couldn't hold back my laughter. In exchange for Ianov had a blank stare. What to laugh at? My uncle is a city's largest food supplier. And how it is also better than you, this pig farmer. Another light laugh. This time it was Renato. He finally finished the bun, wiped his mouth, and glanced at me with interest. That line of people had already come closer, and the man in the suit still kept currying favor. Principal Zhu seemed to have suddenly noticed me, and his eyes lit up. Didn't you say that you want to talk to the Muley Group? Their small shoe general manager is not in, so. Little shoe general. A crowd was startled and followed the direction of the principal's finger to look over. I deliberately picked a remote corner in order to eat alone. The burning eyes suddenly focused on our table. The school's grass. Renato leaned idly against the back of his chair, lightly clasping the table one at a time. Without hesitation, the crowd's eyes passed over him and landed on Daria. The man in the suit was ecstatic and took a quick step up to shake Daria's hand tightly. Little mister. Chew. I've heard a lot about you. Daria held half a bun in her mouth, and was dragged up in a daze. Swell. Swell. Who called Mr. Chew? Who's Mr. Chew? Not you? It's a mistake. Principal Zul laughed, and patted me on the shoulder. This is the Muley Group's daughter. Mr. Chew. The entire room was as quiet as a chicken. Ayanov's expression could be described as horrified. And shock was written all over Kijinai's face. I calmly wiped my mouth and stood up, shaking hands with Principal Zhu. Cole Ine. This Mr. Wang is our school cafeteria's supplier. And I don't know what's going on, but your Muley Group suddenly cut off their pork supply. I smiled and pointed to Ianov and the crowd. Mr. Wang. It's not that I don't sell your pork. It's really that this Miss Su of your family has spoken, saying that your family won't buy our family's meat in this lifetime. The man in the suit shivered at his words, and looked at Ianov with eyes that almost spewed fire. I said that we were cooperating well with the Muley Group. Why did we suddenly say that we have to cut off the goods? So it was you. This stupid bastard. Do you know how much business I lost this week? After saying that, he wiped the sweat from his forehead and bowed curtly. Mr. Chu. This niece of mine has always had a bad brain. Otherwise her parents wouldn't have had to have a second child to inherit the family business at her age. And you see she is surnamed Su. But our company is surnamed Wang. Our two families are not related. Uncle Yu. Ayanov's face turned white. And the onlookers let out a hush that turned out to be so. Not waiting for the man in the suit to finish, she covered her face, regardless of the crowd, and fled. A moment later, a weak voice came from the crowd. Big brother. So will we be able to eat pork tomorrow? A joyful banner was posted outside the cafeteria. Great joy. The pork supply will be restored from tomorrow. The gongs and drums on the BBS were loud. And the foodies cried out in pain as they celebrated the return of the big pork buns. But the heat is nothing compared to this latest gossip. Poster, Wo Iba as ein meat packing man. Section, Stickers Edition Idol. Shocker. Missy is actually beside me. Family members who understand Muley Group daughter actually in our school. We are about to realize the set of. We're about to realize the freedom of pork. The accompanying picture is a sneak peek of the cafeteria. I was still recognized by my sharp-eyed classmates. Isn't this the girl who raised pigs a while ago? At that time, she said she was a poor. I was told that she was a poor student at the time. The clown is actually myself. This is not a pig-raising girl. Obviously a real pig-raising queen. At the same time, the pig feed CP voting post that had sunk for a long time was dug up again. The number of people who voted for it skyrocketed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Saying that people don't deserve it. This time hit the face of it. Muley Group and Kinwei shares strong combination. The first time I saw this, it was a very good thing that I was able to get it right. The owner of the building QQWW Sunshine Big Boy launched a new round of voting. The Queen of the Pig vs the Prince of the Feed. The child should be surnamed Kin or Zhu? I watched the building higher and higher. More and more crooked. Heart happy to beat upside down. If it's Renato, it's not impossible to take his last name. I was happy to name the child. But I might as well have stumbled and been dragged to the corner. Cole Ine, we need to talk. Kijinai grabbed my wrist. Her eyes full of urgency. Ouch dad, I'm dirty. I shook him off with an electric shock and rubbed my shirt vigorously in disgust. Who are you to come up here and talk? Cole Ine. I think there was some misunderstanding between us before. Can you give me another chance? I was shocked, and stared wide-eyed. This big brother took the wrong drugs? Kijinai painfully and deeply. Colin, why didn't you tell me about your family history before? I blinked halfway, and took a deep breath. Kijinai. He looked at me expectantly. I looked. Much like a fool? Shh, what? I smacked my lips and looked him up and down in pity. See how Ianov has spoiled you. Your brain is not working well. Speaking of Ianov, Keej and I was indignant. Don't talk about her. I broke up with you because she lied to me that her family would support my career. Who knew she had a brother and the family fortune was never hers? I almost admire him for being able to put such shameless words in a dignified way. So you couldn't beat the Sioux family's extinct family and came to eat our Zhu family instead? Keej and I's eyes flash with shyness. But she softens her tone. Cole in a. Words cannot be said like this. What you're and my. We are together is not the two of us. I laughed back in anger and raised my fist. Fuck you and me. The next morning, I hummed a little song and wandered into the classroom. Yesterday, I privately promised Doria a month of free meat packets. And he secretly helped me add back Renato's WeChat. I was thinking about how to win back favor when a petite figure swooped down on me in a whirlwind. Cole and Nay, you shameless. Actually came to steal my boyfriend. After only a day's absence, Aya Nav had completely lost her usual appearance of a delicate 1,000-year-old girl. Her clothes were scribbled. And her almond eyes were red and swollen. Me? Robbing Keej and I? I glared at myself and pointed at myself. Do I look blind to you? Ian Ov wipes his face with his backhand. The anger in his eyes is like substance. Keej and I broke up with me, and said he wanted to be with you and it wasn't because you seduced him. Splitting up. Seducing. The drowsy early 8s in the classroom instantly came to life. A pair of large inquisitive eyes gleaming. Isn't this the queen of pig farming? Isn't she a couple with Renato? Rich people. Not happy that people have more than one little white boy? Oh. Young Masterkin's head went green. I was so angry. I rolled up my sleeves and started spraying. I Nav your mom when you were born only face not born brain? Keejan I this kind of phoenix man you also believe in. Beware of being eaten out of the family even the family dime to change the name of the party. Ian Ov pearly face flashed bewilderment. A moment later back to God. Wow. Scratched towards me. 5 centimeters of dime and encrusted nails were about to poke me in the face. But it was firmly cut off by a slender hand. Why don't you know how to dodge? In a low, male voice stinged with slight anger, Renato shrugged off Ianov's hand, and swept his arm around my shoulders. His sharp jaw was slightly raised. His eyelids slightly drooping, showing a look of disdain. I rubbed my hands together in excitement. The onlookers exploded. So handsome. The legendary pig feed CP. Ianov rubs his wrist and stomps his foot in hatred. Renato, wake up. She's got her foot in both camps. Don't let her fool you. I couldn't hear what she was saying anymore. I just quietly reached out and probed towards the powerfully skinny waist beside me. Renato glared at me warningly, wrapped his arms around me and secretly made a strong effort. I retracted like a quail. That boyfriend of yours. Keej and I. He rubbed a hand on my head in satisfaction. Absently. My childhood friend's girlfriend is not so bad. A childhood friend? Girlfriend? I glanced at him in confusion. Our eye rolling seems to irritate Tianov, who bites her lip reluctantly and raises her voice. You're talking nonsense. Keej and I. He's good. He said he'd be good to me. I sighed silently as I watched her eyes redden again and fumbled for my cell phone. Ianov. You are at least a famous college student yourself. And good-looking. How can you fall in love with your brain in a good way? The classroom resounded with a justified male voice. I blame her for lying to me that my family can support my career. Has a younger brother. The family property is not her turn at all. A piece of clamor. Crap. This man wants to eat extincta. The man is also a great talent. Pretending to be noble and proud. But it turns out to be so shameless. This girl is also too stupid. This kind of man as a treasure. I Inov slightly open mouth, staring blankly at my cell phone. As if he was suddenly drained of his soul. He said that he would be good. To me. In the middle of the day. She whimpered and stumbled out the door. I looked at Ianov's back. And a trace of regret welled up in my heart. I heard that Ianov's family is patriarchal. So I think it must be a lack of love and lack of ruthlessness. It doesn't matter that the person beside me coughed heavily. I rushed back to God. A day has not seen. Renato is still incredibly handsome. Except for the heavy dark circles under his eyes. I prefer a battle-damaged beauty. Have you seen enough? The voice is low. With a hint of dark annoyance. Not enough. I picked up a ghostly sentence. He was choked for a moment. Lifting his eyelids to give me a serious glance. A cold hum spilling out from the corner of his lips. It turns out that I still have something that Miss Yu looks at. Somehow. This yin and yang had suddenly galvanized my fighting spirit. I justifiably raised my head. My childhood friend's boyfriend. See what's wrong. His cynical smile instantly solidified. I do not hide and do not avoid to meet his eyes. Finally. The tight jawline across from me slackened. Renato drops his eyes and averts his gaze. Sullenly. You still don't remember. Who knows? I actually heard a hint of condescension in those words. Like a big blonde hiding from the rain on the side of the road. In that moment. I racked my brain. Recalling all the male creatures I'd been exposed to since I was 3 years old. Are you Wang Daying? The sheep farmer? Chow I Wang. The rabbit breeder? I can't believe you're Liu Dan. Big golden hair was even more aggrieved and wrinkled his nose. Reluctantly. He took out his wallet. Inside was an old photo. Inside was an old photo of a round-headed, wide-eyed child standing in front of a pigsty. A look I know all too well. A child was holding a chorizo in his left hand. And in his right hand he was holding a very pretty little girl. The little girl smiled shyly. And there was a small mole on the tip of her slightly wrinkled nose. Under Renato-esque condemning gaze. I tremblingly pulled out my cell phone. Hey, Pops. Do you remember the neighbor next door to our pig farm when we were little? Old Dad's voice greatly grinned through the microphone. Remember. Do feed old kin. Kin? I shuddered inside with a sense of foreboding. So you remember a good-looking little girl and his family? The gaze that fell on me cooled an inch. I only heard Pops smack his lips in confusion. Girl? How do I remember his family as a kid? But that kid was good-looking. And old kin even joked about tying the doll's hand in marriage. I cracked up. It's all over. The scum is actually myself. When I was a kid, my dad was too busy with his business to take care of me. So I grew up to be a tomboy. One day, a little pink girl moved in next door. But I was so jealous. I went to play with her every day. That day, I took the ice cream and farted to please others. The little girl's eyes bright smile. I couldn't hold back and kissed her. The little girl froze. I held up the ice cream without any knowledge and said, like you. No reason. I will be responsible for you. A tender child's voice awakens from the depths of memory. The teeth-grinding voice rang out sorrowfully. Little girl? I clutched my head in despair. It's not my fault. Who's good enough to wear pink for their son every day? In the past 2 days, the badgers in the school have been eating melons with their stomachs rolling. Some days ago, there was a pig feed CP in the news. And now there is news again. Posted by Su. Section, Girls World. Title, Picking Up My Scummy Ex-Boyfriend Who Ate Jetty's House. Yo, Ayanov's getting rich. The bubbles in this girl's head seem to have suddenly exploded and she has personally come down to tear down the scummy Keech and I. Not only did she denounce him for being a soft touch and cheating on her relationship, but she even broke the news that he had hooked up with a schoolgirl. Got a gunman to stand in for his exams. Plagiarized his thesis. Cheated on a national scholarship. And other bad deeds. Keech and I was transformed from a talented man to a street rat. The letter reached the principal's mailbox at the same time. And the evidence was overwhelming. The school reacted quickly, and expelled him. I was brushing the comments and brushing the crunch. The person across the table knocked the table unhappily. What are you looking at? Eat properly. I happily hand over my phone to share with him. Renato glanced at it and said lightly. He's not doing her any favors. My eyes widened. There's something in it for you. Did you help Ianol find all that evidence? Renato coughed in date. I was so excited and wanted to ask more questions. But then I heard a sour voice from the next table. Don't ask. Ever since your freshman year with that Keej and I. He's been hell-bent on getting this guy killed. Daria sits alone at the table. Eating alone. Why do you think he took a break from his studies and started his own business? Because he saw you in love and got hurt. You can't get enough red meat. The school grass chills. Daria Gray holding the bowl to hide in the corner. Renato turned his head and met my serious face. You were spying on me from the start. Renato was silent for a moment. His long lashes dropping. His voice low. You also just bully me. Wow. It's the big blonde again. Who can say no to big blonde hair? In the next second. I smiled and wrapped my arms around him. Who told you to like me? Big golden hair raised his dark eyes to me. What? More aggrieved. I hurriedly smoothed my hair. I also like you. You say it again? He blinks incredulously. I curved the corners of my mouth and looked into those deep eyes that were welling up with emotion. One word at a time. Renato. I like you too.